And the breaking news has just been made. We have the first casualty of the Bible controversy that had broken over the last 24 hours. Ted Cruz just announced that he has asked for the resignation of his campaign manager, Rick Tyler, who's been the face of the campaign in a very big way. In fact, he was just on Fox News with Martha McCallum this morning, and I was watching the interview, and he had said he apologized for tweeting what turned out to be a false news story from a university that that Marco Rubio had questioned the validity or trash talked the Bible in some way, shape, or form. So again, you know, we were talking just with Alice Stewart a minute ago about, oh, this is a minor thing. It's turned into a major thing, folks. Let us bring in our next two guests who happen to be in the chair, and I hope they've been watching this. Governor Jim Douglas of Vermont, he is a Republican, and Senator Byron Dorgan of North Dakota, he is a Democrat. Gentlemen, I know you just heard this. What do you make of this resignation? I'll start with you, Governor.
Well, there's a lot of fallout over the course of campaigns, and these things do happen. I think the American people are unhappy with the negativity that we're seeing from a lot of candidates' organizations. I think they're looking for a candidate who has a message of hope and optimism, someone who can bring the nation together and confront the challenges that we're facing. Well,
we have no word yet. I couldn't quite hear in the media gaggle as to whether Rick Tyler accepted that resignation, agreed to resign after Ted Cruz requested it. But do you think that this helps Ted Cruz's, I guess, image that he will stand for no funny business here?
Well, I think that is a good sign. I haven't had any of that kind of experiences in my own campaigns through the years, I'm pleased to say. But it's important to present an image of integrity in one's campaign, to show that he's rising above a kind of controversy like this and not standing for any misbehavior on the part of his staff. So I think that's a positive step, and I'm not sure Mr. Tyler will have much choice.
Senator Dorgan, I'd like your reaction to this, and perhaps more importantly, what you think this does to the focus of the entire campaign as far as both the Democrats and the Republicans are concerned. Will this make their campaign managers more accountable and stop some of this, you know, for lack of a better word, obnoxiousness when it comes to retweeting things that haven't been vetted?
Well, we can wish that were the case, but, you know, this is the noise of... the noise of democracy is not a very good sound sometimes. You know, I really wish that all of the campaign rhetoric were more thoughtful rather than thoughtless. I mean, there's so much out there that has very little to do with the significant and real challenges our country faces. And, you know, the selection of a president of the United States, one would hope, would be based on a series of 4, 5, or 6 things that are really, really important to the country. Instead, we're off on all these little ancillary issues. You know, the American people, I think, are pretty disgusted with politics these days, and they've demonstrated that in the way they voted.
Yeah, I mean, that becomes an issue. I think that people are a little sick and tired of this, Governor. And going to what happens tomorrow in Nevada, does this hurt Ted Cruz in the short term?
Well, it may, but this is a marathon. Obviously, there are lots of other states that are going to weigh in. We're going to have the Super Tuesday events in a variety of different states around the country. I expect he'll do do well in some and not do so well in others. So I think, despite the front-runner status of some candidates on both sides at this point, the outcome is still uncertain.
Boy, isn't that the truth, Senator Dorgan? I think the governor's correct. I mean, anything could happen in this very immediate news flow world that we live in.
Well, it's going to be a marathon, I think, on both sides. I mean, I don't see Bernie Sanders pulling out of the race. I think he's going to go all the way to the convention. I do think Hillary will win the nomination and have the nomination in hand. But, you know, it's going to be a marathon. And with respect to the Republican Party, you know, it's like slicing up a pie. When you've got to have 3 or 4 slices rather than 2, it affects the outcome. And so Donald Trump looks like, it looks to me like the Republican Party is still trying to figure out what on earth do we do with this phenomenon. It appears to me that he holds the upper hand at the moment, so we'll see.
Well, he's well ahead in Nevada, certainly, Governor, and looking at what may happen, what is your best guess?
Well, he, as the senator indicates, can get a plurality in a large field. It's begun to winnow somewhat, as we know. Some of my former gubernatorial colleagues have dropped out, a lot of good candidates, but those who haven't been able to gain some traction. In the end, it presumably will come down to Mr. Trump and one alternative, and I think a lot of folks would like to support an alternative, frankly.
Do either of you see a brokered convention?
Well, I suppose it's possible.
Go ahead, Senator Dorgan, you first.
Well, I don't know. If ever there was the potential, it probably exists this year, I think more in the Republican Party than the Democratic Party, because, as I said, I think Hillary is going to go to the convention with the votes to be nominated. But, you know, we haven't had a brokered convention for a long, long time, decades, and we'll see. Again, I think that Donald Trump, you know, this process he's going through now with respect to the primary, it's a very different process than running in the general election one-on-one, in which I think the American people are going to demand far more answers to real and challenging problems than they are demanding in the primary process.
Okay. Listen, thanks to both of you for dealing with this breaking news.